Being confident without understanding.
Some people speak with total confidence even when they are clearly wrong. They argue loudly, act like experts, and refuse to admit mistakes. Psychology has a name for this behavior, the Dunning-Kruger effect. This effect happens when a person has low skill or knowledge but also lacks the awareness to notice it. Because they don't understand the topic deeply, their brain assumes they understand it well. They cannot see their own mistakes. In simple terms, they don't know enough to realize how much they don't know. Imagine someone who watched one short video about investing. Now they believe they are a finance expert. They give advice, argue with professionals, and act superior. But when real problems show up, they don't know what to do. Their confidence was built on very little information. This happens because the brain uses past experience to judge ability. If someone only has small experience, their brain has nothing to compare it to. So it overestimates their skill. Smart people usually do the opposite. They doubt themselves. They check facts. They ask questions. They listen before speaking. Why? Because real intelligence understands that the world is complex. Low IQ thinking is simple and rigid. It says, I'm right, you're wrong, end of story. High IQ thinking says, maybe I'm wrong, let me learn more. Another sign of this habit is talking more than listening. People who overestimate their intelligence often dominate conversations. They interrupt others. They speak fast, they repeat the same points, they mistake loudness for correctness. But intelligence is not about volume, it's about accuracy. Psychologists also found that people with this habit rarely change their opinions. Even when shown clear evidence, they defend their original belief. Their ego feels threatened, so their brain protects it by rejecting new information. Think of it like this: admitting you're wrong feels uncomfortable. Learning feels harder than staying confident.
So they choose confidence over truth.
This habit reveals low IQ because intelligence is not about sounding smart. It's about thinking clearly, learning continuously, and adjusting when wrong. Confidence is useful, but confidence without understanding is just noise, avoiding learning and curiosity. Intelligent people naturally want to learn. They ask questions, they explore new ideas, they enjoy understanding how things work. Curiosity is one of the strongest signs of a healthy, active brain. People with low IQ often show the opposite habit. They avoid learning. They get bored quickly. They reject new information, especially if it challenges what they already believe. Psychologists explain this using cognitive effort. Thinking deeply takes energy. Learning something new requires focus, memory, and problem solving. Low IQ brains try to avoid this effort because it feels uncomfortable. Instead of asking why, they say, whatever.
Who cares? That's dumb. Curiosity feels like work to them, not excitement. Another part of this habit is defending ignorance. Some people don't just avoid learning, they proudly stay uninformed. They treat not knowing things like a personality trait. They say things like, I don't need to know that. School is useless. Smart people overthink everything. But learning is how the brain grows. No learning equals no growth. Psychologists also link curiosity to problem-solving ability. Curious people explore different ideas. They compare information. They test what works. People who lack curiosity often stay stuck using the same simple thinking patterns, even when those patterns fail. Imagine two people facing a problem. One asks questions and looks for solutions. The other shrugs and gives up. Only one of them is training their brain. Low IQ is not about being born bad at learning. It's about choosing not to learn. Avoiding curiosity keeps the mind small. Curiosity makes the mind stronger. Thinking in black and white. Some people see the world in extremes. To them, everything is either right or wrong, good or bad, smart or stupid. There is no middle ground. Psychologists call this cognitive rigidity. Cognitive rigidity means the brain struggles to handle complexity. It prefers simple answers, even when the situation is complicated. Instead of thinking carefully, the brain chooses the easiest option. For example, if someone disagrees with them, they instantly think, that person is wrong. They're against me. They're stupid. But real life is rarely that simple. Intelligent thinking understands that two ideas can exist at the same time. Someone can be partly right and partly wrong. A problem can have more than one solution. Low IQ thinking avoids this complexity because it requires effort. It is easier to put everything into neat boxes. Black and white thinking also makes people easy to manipulate. If someone believes only in extremes, they quickly accept strong emotional messages without checking facts. This habit shows up in arguments, online comments, and daily conversations. Instead of discussing ideas, the person attacks people. Instead of asking questions, they make final judgments. Psychology shows that flexible thinking is linked to higher intelligence. Flexible thinkers can change opinions, see different sides, and adapt to new information. Rigid thinkers stay stuck. Simple mind. Simple answers, no growth. Poor emotional control. Some people react instantly when something upsets them. They get angry fast, take offense easily, and speak without thinking. Their emotions control their actions. Psychologists link this behavior to low emotional intelligence, which often connects to lower overall cognitive ability. Emotional control means being able to pause, think, and choose how to respond. It's not about never feeling angry, it's about managing those feelings in a smart way. Low IQ behavior is reaction-based. High IQ behavior is response-based. For example, if someone is criticized, a reactive person explodes or insults back. A thoughtful person listens, processes, and replies calmly. The brain needs self-control to handle emotions. This uses the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for planning and decision-making. When this system is weak or underused, emotions take over. People with poor emotional control often overreact to small problems, take things personally, speak without thinking, regret what they say later. These reactions create more problems than they solve. Emotionally intelligent people understand that emotions are temporary. They don't let one feeling control their entire behavior. Low IQ doesn't mean someone feels less. It means they control feelings less. And when emotions run the brain, logic takes a back seat, always blaming other people. Some people believe nothing is ever their fault. When something goes wrong, they blame their boss, their friends, society, or bad luck. They never look at their own actions. Psychologists call this an external locus of control. This means the person believes life happens to them instead of believing they influence their own life. They feel powerless, so they don't try to improve. For example, if they fail a test, they say, "The teacher hates me. The test was unfair. The system is rigged." They never ask, "Did I study enough? What can I improve?" High IQ thinking focuses on responsibility. Low IQ thinking focuses on excuses. Taking responsibility helps the brain learn from mistakes. Blaming others blocks learning completely. When someone always blames outside forces, they stay stuck in the same problems over and over again. Nothing changes because they never change. Psychologists also found that personal responsibility improves problem-solving skills. When people believe their actions matter, they think more carefully and plan better. Blame feels easier than effort, but effort builds intelligence. Low IQ isn't about failing. It's about refusing to learn from failure. Getting angry at opposing opinions. Some people take disagreement as a personal attack. If someone challenges their beliefs, they don't stay calm. They get defensive, emotional, or even aggressive. Psychologists explain this using ego protection. When a belief feels tied to someone's identity, the brain treats disagreement like danger. Instead of thinking logically, the brain switches into defense mode. Low IQ behavior says, "You disagree with me? You're disrespecting me." High IQ behavior says, "You disagree? Let's talk about it." Debating ideas requires reasoning, patience, and open-minded thinking. That takes mental effort. Some people avoid this effort by attacking the person instead of discussing the idea. This is why arguments often turn into insults. Logic leaves, emotion takes over. People who struggle with opposing opinions often interrupt others, raise their voice, change the topic, use personal attacks. None of these solve the problem. They just protect the ego. Psychology shows that intelligent thinkers separate ideas from identity. They can disagree without feeling threatened. They stay curious instead of angry. Low IQ thinking protects feelings. High IQ thinking protects truth. When someone cannot handle different views, their thinking stays narrow, rigid, and limited. Low IQ is not about school, grades, or education. It's about how a person thinks, reacts, and learns. Do they question themselves? Do they grow from mistakes? Or do they stay stuck defending bad ideas? Because the less someone understands their own flaws, the harder it is to improve. If you want to keep sharpening your thinking and understanding human behavior, make sure to subscribe to the channel. More psychology-backed breakdowns are coming every week. Your brain will thank you later.